So let's continue with our topic. In the last class, we had seen how the northwestern part of the Himalayas have impacted the history so far. Now, to the north of the Himalayas, there is the Kashmir Valley between the Karakoram and the Himalayas. Now, the Karakoram range, just like the Himalayas, the Karakoram range also has certain passes, but these passes are mostly covered with snow, so they are not accessible. Also, there is the Karakoram Highway. There is the Karakoram Highway which connects India to Central Asia through the Gilgit region. So that uh, geographical feature of the Karakorams, which is the Karakoram Highway, that has played a role in shaping history. However, these passes do not really seem to be that instrumental since they are inaccessible. So the Karakoram Highway connecting India to Central Asia through the Gilgit region, right? Then the Kashmir Valley, it is surrounded by mountains. Okay, the Kashmir Valley, it is surrounded by mountains. These mountains have passes in them, so we can see there's an entire rich cultural history of this region because there were passes in these mountain ranges, and through these passes, the valley became accessible. There is also the Nepal Valley to the on the foothills of the Himalayas, and the Nepal Valley is accessible from the Indo-Gangetic Valley. From the Indo-Gangetic Valley, the Nepal Valley is accessible again through passes. Lastly, towards the northeast of the Himalayas, towards the eastern part of the Himalayas, there is the Patkoi Naga Lushai Hills. They form the eastern Himalayas. They form the eastern Himalayas, and their particular physical feature is that their characteristic physical feature is that these regions are heavily forested. Heavily forested, as a result of which they remain isolated. They remain isolated from the rest of the country, and hence the culture, the history of this region also varies vastly. With this, we have come to an end to understanding the impact of the Himalayas on the history of the country. Now, let us go to the next topic, which is the Indo-Gangetic Plains. Let us consider these are the Himalayas. Now, the Indo-Gangetic Plain consists of the river basin of three rivers, namely the Indus, Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. The Indus originates from beyond the Himalayas and it drains into the Arabian Sea. Okay. At the mouth of the Indus is the Sindh region, and the Indus and its important tributaries. I think we all know about them: Sutlej, Bias, Ravi, Chenab, and Jhelum. Jhelum. So these five rivers, they nourish the plain that they nourish. That is where Punjab is located. So we see Punjab and Sindh are extremely fertile regions, and hence history has always been able to consolidate in these regions. We have examples of the IVC. We have examples of the IVC, and even the prehistoric period. Even the prehistoric period, a number of Neolithic, Mesolithic sites have been found in these regions. So, because of the extreme fertility that the Indus and its tributaries have provided to this region, we see settlements in this region. Now, between the Indus, next is the Gangas. Next is the Ganga. Ganga originates from the Himalayas, and initially it flows towards the south, and then it turns towards the east. Right. Another river that originates from the Himalayas is the Yamuna. It flows almost parallel to the Ganga for a certain distance, and then it merges into the Ganga. Between the Indus and the between the Indus and the Gangetic Plain, the Indus Valley and the Gangetic Valley, there are the Aravalli Hills and the Thar Desert. Okay. Now, just like the Indus, the Ganga also provides nourishment to this entire northern Indian region, especially the Doab. Doab is the region between two rivers. The Doab is extremely fertile because of the presence of Ganga and Yamuna, and hence it has always been a point of contention between various dynasties, between various kingdoms from time to time. The richness of this region has given birth to a number of urban centers over here. Let us see some examples. Examples would be Delhi, Agra, Patliputra, Patliputra, as we will read in our course, that it has been a capital of a number of dynasties like the Guptas, the Mauryan Empire, etc. Okay. Secondly, secondly, this place has been a battlefield for a number of important battles. The Tarai, for example, the Tarai, Panipat, etc. It is because of the strategic location of the Gangetic plain, the strategic location, the plains, the availability of food, grains, and water, that this region has given birth to a number of urban centers, and it has always played out like a battlefield. I hope this is clear. Again, we see geography influencing the course of history here. So we have seen so far the Indus, the Ganga, Yamuna, and now we will see the third river, the Brahmaputra. The Brahmaputra also originates from beyond the Himalayas, and it enters into India through the northeast. Okay, it enters into India through the northeast and finally merges with the Ganga, falls into the Bay of Bengal. Now, as it enters into the northeastern plains, its speed decreases considerably, and that gives rise to a number of riverine islands. This is a special feature of the Brahmaputra river. Riverine islands, example is Majuli. These riverine islands have their own culture, have their own history and cultural diversity, which we will read. This brings us to an end of the second geographical feature of India, second geographical unit of India that has influenced history over the course. Now, the third and the last part is the Deccan Plateau. Let's try to understand this. So, in the north, we have the Vindhyan range, sorry. There is Tapti. This is Tapti, this is Narmada. Tapti and Narmada rivers, and here we have the Satpura ranges. These, I hope you can see it clearly. Now, this unit together forms the Great Dividing Line. Because of the presence of this Great Dividing Line, the southern part of India has remained insulated or has remained protected from foreign invasions, and hence we see that this culture has remained largely protected compared to the North Indian culture. This remains protected, this remains isolated from the North Indian culture because of the presence of the Great Dividing Line. Now, beyond the Great Dividing Line, there is the Deccan Plateau. There is the Deccan Plateau. The Deccan Plateau is flanked by the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. The Eastern Ghats are comparatively more comparatively more like not continuous compared to the Western Ghats. The Western Ghats are more continuous. The Eastern Ghats are comparatively less continuous because of the rivers that flow from the west to the east direction. They have eroded the Western Ghats from time to time. They have eroded the Eastern Ghats from time to time, and as a result, they have not been able to remain continuous. Flanked by the Western and the Eastern Ghats is the Deccan Plateau. Let us look at some passes that are there in the Western Ghats. So, some important passes are Junnar, Kanheri, Karle, Palghat Pass. Junnar, Kanheri, Karle would be more on the upper end, and Palghat is somewhere over here. Next, let us look at some ports that are present in the before the ports. Let us look at the coastline. This area up to Goa is called Konkan. Then the coast from Goa is called Kannada coast, and off the coast of Kerala, we have the Malabar coast. The coast on the eastern side is called the Coromandel coast. Because these natural coasts existed on the southern peninsula, there were some natural ports all along the coastline. There were some natural ports all along the coastline. These ports have allowed us to develop our maritime strength, foreign trade. They have helped us develop our foreign trade and also in foreign diplomacy, because we had connections with other parts of Southeast Asia because of these ports or because of these connections. So they were all naturally provided by the geography, and hence we find instances of maritime strength, instances of foreign trade with other parts of the country in the history of India. Another important feature to be noted in the southern peninsula is the presence of some important rivers. In the north, you have the not in the north, like towards the upper end of this peninsula, you have the Mahanadi River. Then there is Godavari, Krishna, and lastly there is Kaveri. I think I did not mention this pass. This pass is called the Palghat Pass. The Palghat Pass connects the Kaveri River Valley to the western coast of Malabar, to the western Malabar coast. And from here, from the Malabar coast, we see that there were Indo-Roman trade relations. So because the Palghat Pass existed, in this end to connect the Kaveri River Valley with the Malabar coast, hence we see such trade was possible during that time. So we were looking at the rivers. There is the Mahanadi River. Let me just clear up the screen a little bit. This is the Krishna River. It has a tributary called the Tungabhadra, and between the Krishna and the Tungabhadra is the Raichur Doab. Historically, there has been a lot of battle between during the time of the Satavahanas, during the Vijayanagar Empire, and various other instances. We see a lot of battles have been fought for control over the Raichur Doab. Because of its rich fertility, not only was it extremely fertile, it had a lot of mineral resources also, naturally occurring mineral resources. So that is why the history of this place is also very vivid. Then towards the extreme south, we have the Kaveri River. Kaveri River, like I have mentioned, that even this brings about a lot of fertility to this valley, and because of its natural products, because of its natural agricultural and natural products, we find that there was a lot of export happening at that time, and the region automatically becomes prosperous as a result of that. So, this is a quick recap of all that we have studied so far. The Himalayas, the Indo-Gangetic Plain, and the Southern Peninsula are the main geographic features in the Indian subcontinent that are responsible for shaping history as we know today. Should you now read the first chapter of the Tamil Nadu textbook, you would be able to easily understand it, hopefully. Also, you must try writing the answer to this question that was asked in 2023 mains. If you have reached this part of the video, then thanks a lot for watching till here. Also, we noticed that more than 80% of you who watch the video do not subscribe. Please subscribe to us because
सपने देखना अच्छी बात है, लेकिन सपने को लेकर के बैठे रहना और सपनों के लिए सोते रहना, ये तो सही नहीं है। सपनों से आगे बढ़कर अपने सपनों को पाने का संघर्ष बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। शुभ रात्रि।